Hello, we are back in HOPStart, guys. Yet another interesting episode lined up today. Actually, sometime back, I had actually met a co-founder of a company called Woop, and his name is Asid Gupta. And we had a discussion on women empowerment. We had a discussion on studies for girls in our country and marketing. Imagine all these three things together happening under one umbrella, that's Woop. And I'm very keen in understanding, as you are, I'm sure, and you'll get to know a lot about it today in that chat. So let's not waste too much of time and let's see what Asit has to say about it. Hi Asit, welcome to HOPStart, and it's a pleasure having you in HOPStart. And I'm very keen. What's Woop all about?
Great, thanks a lot. Pleasure to be here too.
I'm sorry, I'm like striking the first question like right away, but
No,
I'm very
brilliant,
keen.
absolutely. So Woop is really something which is trying to marry commerce with compassion. And what do I mean by that?
Yeah.
If we look at, India, we look at a country of 133 crore, but it's not one India.
Yeah.
There are many Indias.
For sure.
And essentially when we look at the women's segment, as we call the chief household officer, calling all the shots when it comes to decision making,
Yeah.
there are about 2 crore Indian women in the SEC A and B1 segment.
All right.
And we can call them the haves.
Right.
We can call them the connected women, right? And these are the one pretty much who are the bulk of the consumption when it comes to consumer goods.
Okay.
So this is what is driving consumption, whether it's e-commerce or offline, right?
Right.
If we take 2 crore women and we just multiply it by a conservative 20,000 rupees a year, that's a 40,000 crore spending power.
Those are some
Right?
massive numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 20,000 rupees a year is not much when we talk about this SEC,
Yeah.
right? So on the other hand, when we say
for the viewers, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
can you just give a little brief on SEC, which you
Yeah,
mentioning?
so SEC is socio-economic classification, and in Indian marketing, it's been there for almost 30 years. Even when I started my career in '94 with Procter & Gamble, this is how we would plan our marketing and media. So SEC typically looks at 2 parameters,
Right.
and they've simplified it recently. It looks at your occupation, and it looks as actually strangely appliance ownership, which they have taken as a surrogate of income.
All right.
Because earlier they used to have education,
Right.
but at times there is not much link between education and your ownership of certain appliances.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on that, they map out India into A1, A2, B1, B2. It goes all the way till E3.
Fair enough. So it's like the amount of money you get, you have a bone china plate, and the amount of money you get, you have a steel plate.
Appliance, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
right?
just as a layman,
Yes,
I'm yeah.
Yes, and it's actually quite easy shortcut I will give you. India 1, 2, 3 is really 10, 30, 60.
Right.
10% is the cream, and then you have the middle 30%, okay, and then you have the 60%.
Right.
So we are still a very unequal country.
Yeah.
So we have these 2 crore AB1 women, and then we have 2 crore girls who are actually denied schooling. We're not even saying school dropouts.
They're just not
Not going
yeah.
to school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you have this haves and have-nots. And let's put this 2 crore girls in perspective.
Yeah.
So right now I'm based in UK.
Yeah.
The total number of girls who go to school in UK is 80 lakhs. Okay? So the
It's quite
scale of
self-explanatory. Yeah.
exactly, right? Now why is this a big issue, and why Woop is working in this area is girl child education is actually universally recognized as a multiplier cause in India. And what do I mean by a multiplier cause? If one girl gets educated, you're sorting out actually generations and a whole family.
Absolutely.
Because you're solving for 3 or 4 big social issues. Early marriage, first, okay? Then also infant mortality.
Yeah.
Early marriage leads to early child. You're not trained enough, you're not strong enough to take care of.
Yeah.
Third, India has one of the lowest participation rate of women in workforce.
Yeah.
Which in a country where productive is an
Because
issue,
of our old conventional, or
Yes, combination of
thought
things.
process. Yeah.
Combination of things. And as you know, even where women have been educated, they have been told like, why
They
do you
still
want to
have
work,
certain,
right?
yeah.
Ghar pe baitho and
Absolutely.
but that actually is a huge productivity drag if you look at it. I'm saying studies globally have proven that diversity in workforce is actually a productivity multiplier. Diversity is not a tick box that you get minorities and women and it actually helps
Right.
because you get fresh perspective,
Yeah.
right? So it actually helps many things, but last but not the least, if we look at it from a commerce angle, these are consumers of tomorrow. So if we educate women, so literally we say 2 crore women of opinion of today, creating the 2 crore women of opinion of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you're actually helping society, companies. So that's what we are trying to do.
Right.
The haves and the have-nots, a platform where women come and engage with the brands and the categories they want to engage with. So it's an opt-in engagement. They're just spending time online. But we know brands pay for that time.
Right.
So all we do, brands pay us for this engagement time, and we transparently and very granularly turn that time into a donation to Nanni Kali, which funds the girls' education.
All right. So, okay. So that's kind of a model you
That's
have.
the model. So in a very simple sense, we are turning the browsing time of the 2 crore connected women of India
Yes.
into rewards
Contribution to.
for themselves.
Yeah.
They can also win rewards. They can get relevant education and information. So one of the clients we work with, for example, Philips Event, they make a lot of products for new moms, like a breast pump, right? Which, if you're a working woman and you want to go continue breastfeeding, that's a great help, right? But there are a lot of questions around breastfeeding. So we did a campaign, a breastfeeding coach. So they would come learn about breastfeeding, which is actually helping them.
Yeah.
But in that process, girls' education is getting funded. So that's what we call the world's first triple win platform. Consumers win, I have fun.
That is where I was about to
Yeah.
just tell you. It's a very win-win situation
Yeah.
for everyone in this.
So consumers, I learn something.
Yeah.
I'm learning it in a fun way because it's gamified. Everything is
Absolutely.
gamification.
It's very interactive.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And even if I don't win,
Hmm.
my time spent has done good.
Yeah.
So there is no
That's gone somewhere,
downside,
for sure.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And that's what we consistently see in our Facebook reviews. People say, love this, what Woop is doing. I didn't win a reward till now, but I learned so much, and hey, girls are getting educated.
I'm glad to hear such an amazing initiative, and especially in a country like ours,
Yeah.
which has an amazing number of per population, 133 CR, and there's a huge women
Yes,
population who
absolutely.
are thriving for
Yeah.
education, good lifestyle,
Yeah.
and everything what
Absolutely.
everyone wants in their life, and that's great. So now my point, one question is, which sector do I see Whoop in?
Mhm.
Like if I want to categorize it
Yeah.
in a particular sector.
I think it's very clearly in digital marketing. So you could actually put us in the same bucket, but slight evolved version of influencer marketing.
Fair enough.
Because essentially brands come to us and say, hey, we are launching this new brand.
Right.
We would love to engage with this target audience. And once they are engaged, we would like them to talk about it to their friends.
Yeah.
So we are, via this engagement, I can only talk about something if I know about it.
Yeah.
So what we say, engagement is the foundation of advocacy. Everything else is not authentic.
Right.
Because you can pay me and I talk about it, but I've never used it.
Mm.
Right. So that's what brands are paying us for. So in a way, we call it the everyday influencers. The
All
people
right.
who are on Woop are real
Interesting.
women. We call them everyday influencers. They are not the social media micro influencers
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
Yes, they are on social, but everyday influencer space, digital marketing, that's where we operate in.
Awesome. And how does someone get into this sector from a career perspective? Because we are a career-oriented show, and
Yeah.
this is the medium we try to pass a message to people that this is an amazing initiative
Yeah.
and it's an amazing sector for be in. How
Yeah.
does someone get into this?
So I think the social sector in India and even the social startups, I think there is a lot of good work happening. You might have heard of a startup called M Pani, which is also doing work in the area of water, right? So I think a lot of people there is a lot of buzz about startups, right? Everyone is trying to get into startups.
Right.
I think there is a need to look at the bigger problems which we are facing as a country. And India is very unique.
It
We have
is
very
highly
unique problems.
diversified. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's
right?
yeah.
And I think marrying your intellect, passion, comfort with technology, software, to not just make money, because we are a for-profit company.
Mhm.
So I think that is the inspiring thing about working in this space, that you are applying all that you learn.
Mhm.
I am dealing with marketers. I am
Yeah.
working with brands, which
Yeah.
I love doing. But at the same time, you're able to use that to do good.
Yeah.
And what can be better than that?
Yeah.
Again, it's a win-win,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. What's the reach of Whoop? Like,
Yeah.
first of all, it's a very technologically oriented thing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, your reach, I'm sure you have you have planned your reach to
Yeah.
tier 2, tier 3 cities,
yeah.
where technical knowledge might be a
Yes.
little, like, it's still to kind of, people are still to be more knowledgeable about
Yeah.
it. How do you plan to?
So, great question. Right now, we are in year 2, just
Yeah.
completed our second birthday. And there is a clear skew towards the top 10 cities, because in early phase, those are the people.
Yeah.
And again, two reasons, as you said, comfort with technology
Yeah.
and also language.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting dynamic. Vernacular is being talked about in the last 2-3 years only.
Yeah.
Before
actually.
that, Web India was India 1, English, right?
Yeah.
Now it's of course become, much more vernacular. So we are getting into vernacular. So the campaigns and the missions which women do, obviously it's much more easier for them
Yeah,
to
that will
do
be
it
really
in-
cool for them.
exactly,
Like, they'll, yeah.
right? Do a survey in Hindi. That's
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Bengali. And if we take the big 5, right, they cover 60%. If you take Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Tamil, and Telugu, I'm saying if you take these 5,
Right.
you've covered actually 60-70%, because these are the big ones. You can of course go finer, but
yeah.
these are the big 5.
Right.
The other interesting thing we are potentially working on, and I can't talk too much about it,
Fair enough.
but if you look at the penetration of websites, digital interaction with websites and apps versus messenger chats or chats per se. So people are spending more time everywhere, even in the hinterland, on chats.
Right.
So is there a way that we can bring this engagement to the chat?
Through the chat.
So go where, the mountain is, or where, what was the
Absolutely.
saying? I forget.
Although I won't like,
Yeah.
even I don't remember.
Yes.
So, Asit, it was a great chat.
Yeah.
Although I would have loved to carried on chatting with you, but we'll have to wrap it
No
up.
problem.
But before, there are two things. One is I'm a little keen in knowing a little bit about your journey.
Yeah.
To do with your advocacy
Yes,
or
yes,
something which
yes,
I was
yes,
reading
yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
Why don't you mention a little
Yeah.
bit about?
So, I've been the typical.
And you've been associated to a lot of big brands.
Yeah.
As well.
So I've had a typical linear, my generation kind of a career path. You take science, you get into engineering, you realize you don't want to do engineering, then you do an MBA from a top institute, and then you get campus placement. So very linear. I
Pretty
joined
much, yes.
Procter & Gamble from campus, worked in Mumbai for 4 years. And then, kind of destiny took a strange turn. I went from Mumbai to Moscow, plus 30 to minus 30. And from a company which was completely doing broadcast advertising to a category where advertising was banned. So I worked with British American Tobacco.
Okay.
So everything changed for me in that move. Culture, country.
Quite a shock.
Quite a shock, right? But I was, an expat, a young expat in an industry which pays very well. And as a marketeer, it's actually perhaps the most sophisticated category, because we have to build and grow brands without advertising
Yes.
in a category where loyalty is very high.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough. Yes.
So I learned so much about marketing, and not just broadcast marketing, but the use of design, the use of psychology. But pulling it together with advocacy and Whoop, I was involved in a launch which was at that time, before the D of digital was not written, was using influencers. So we launched a new brand called Kent, which took on Marlboro, which was the #1 premium brand.
Yeah.
And it was launched using influencer marketing, wherein the influencer were the cool bartenders in the top 20 clubs in Moscow. So these are clubs where you can't get in. There's face control. So these bartenders also cool dudes, right? So we were working with them to educate the consumer about and positioning this brand.
About a product, yeah.
Yeah. And a product as undifferentiated as a cigarette, right, is a white stick end of the day. And the brand is even today the biggest premium brand in Russia, which is the world's biggest tobacco market. So it's bigger than Marlboro even now.
Okay, I didn't know this
Yes,
about.
yes. So China is the world's biggest tobacco market, but it's controlled by the government. Russia is the next biggest
More
open
like a
market.
private.
Kent is the #1 premium brand since 2000
Okay.
in Russia, and the success was driven by this whole influencer marketing launch. So I got into what I call influencer marketing word of mouth then.
So I see from where it's coming from.
Yes. And then when social took off, having done this without digital, I said, well, I know the psychology behind it. The technology is the accelerator. So advocacy got launched in 2011 after my BAT thing, which said we combine psychology with technology.
Right.
Right? And then Woop has been an evolution by adding the social angle to the advocacy model. So what we are doing in Woop is very similar to what we did and doing in advocacy.
Yeah.
But
this is more specific in.
yeah, and it kind of
focuses
goes
more.
back to, let's say, my personal kind of desire that after a while we should start giving back. And I was thinking, what's the most effective way to give back?
Good to know that you have reached that place where you're thinking, okay, that seems that you're prospering for sure quite well.
Actually, it's a very interesting question, right? And because I get inspired by these young guys who have actually got nothing and who dropped out of campus placement. And there's one guy, I know his name, I follow him on Facebook, Ashish Shrivastava.
Okay.
He's in Sukhma.
Okay.
He was IIM Calcutta, then took campus placement, has been building schools for, war-torn places, afflicted children. Has nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's not as much linked with, let's say, money in the bank necessarily.
It's not linked to the benchmark, which is like
Yeah.
overall benchmark people have made. Ki, hey, this is the amount of balance you
Yes,
need. This is what.
yes.
It's a call maybe when it comes to you, take it.
And I personally feel that people of my generation, right, we were lucky, and we should all have what I call a second innings. And the question we should ask is, what is the legacy we want to leave behind
Yeah.
besides a bank balance and well brought up children? That's it, right? Because all our
Focus
life,
a little bit in the individuality. Maybe.
yeah, all the life is corporate. Yes, you bank your bonuses, children going to overseas schools and MBAs. Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
But
But little
what
thing
beyond? Is
beyond
there
it, yeah.
something more?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Asir, it was great chatting with you, getting all this insight.
Yeah.
And it was pleasure having you. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you,
being a
Shubham.
part of HOPStart. All
Thank
the very
you.
best for
Thanks a
your future
lot.
endeavors. Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks.